Welcome to the Podunk Polymath Podcast dedicated to the sentiments of a secular, sarcastic, screwed-up Southern SJW and skeptic. I'm your host, Chris. Come on in. This is episode 14 of the Podunk Polymath Podcast. I'm going to make this pretty brief because this is another special episode. This one's about the election outcome, which obviously I'm not thrilled about, and that's putting it mildly. So the only thing I'm going to read as a new review I got from Heathen, this is Eric, who I'm pretty sure I know what this is, but I'll maintain anonymity just for him. Fantastic show, a healthy hybrid of hilarity and education on modern social/political topics. A knowledgeable, open-minded, and humorous host makes this a treat to listen to. Thank you, who I know it is. He bullshitted through that, but I told him to give me a good review, so he did. Thanks. Yeah, so this is going to be a longer than usual episode. I had actually 3 people join me for this kind of roundtable discussion about Trump's election and what caused it and what do we do going forward. So without any further ado, I'll go ahead and throw you to the palaver.
Hi, I'm Trav Mamone.
And I'm Morgan Stringer.
Do you like drunken rants, major shade throwing, and semi-funny skits?
Do you often find yourself reading the news and thinking, are you shitting me?
Then check out the Bi-Skeptical Podcast.
Every 2 weeks, we discuss politics, religion, and current events from a skeptical point of view.
You can find us on iTunes, Spreaker, and Stitcher.
Check us out, because in the end, we're all a little bi-curious.
Looking for something new and exciting, or maybe just a change from the old atheist show format? Cellar Door Skeptics Podcast provides listeners with hours of enjoyment each week on Spreaker and iTunes. Check us out as we talk politics, religion, science, reviews of books and music, along with the occasional interview just for a twist. Join Christopher Tanner and Chris Hanna every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern as they bring fresh content to you. Walk with us through the cellar door as we help you prepare for the revolution. You can find us on Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, and even on Facebook.
Welcome to the palaver here on the Podunk Polymath Podcast. And this is the second special. The first one was about depression. This one is also kind of about depression, except it's the depression of Donald Trump being elected as the President of the United States. I can't even believe I'm saying those words out loud. With me to give kind of a post-mortem, and indeed it feels like a post-mortem in reality, are my friends Matthew O'Neill.
Hello.
And Jeanne Ikerd.
Hi, how's it going?
You will recognize both of them because they've both been on the show. Jeanne Ikerd was the first episode, and despite her protestations, she still has three times as many downloads as any of the other episodes I have so far. Matthew is actually running a good second, I think. Second or third.
Good to hear.
So, looks like your boyish charm is rubbing off on people.
Oh, good, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I've been at least one of those listeners.
Yeah, well, you count, sort of. Both y'all are living in Vermont. I won't say from Vermont because I know you're not from Vermont, Jeanne.
Nope.
And I think not.
But I am.
And so, first of all, let's just get kind of initial impressions. I'll start off with you, Matt. What's your opening statement, if you will?
My opening statement just about Trump being elected?
Yeah, just the whole fucking shit show.
My opening statement is, I just stumble over my own thoughts, like trying to piece together how this all happened and why we have a man like Trump as the leader of our nation now. And I struggle between trying to be somewhat hopeful and then having those thoughts crash to the earth very severely. I am very nervous, especially for my friends who are part of an at-risk group, especially with the recent circumstances that have been all the reporting coming in about hate crimes happening. So I guess my opening statement is I'm sort of preparing for the worst with all this.
Okay, Jeanne?
My first thoughts? Why the fuck are we still using Electoral College? Why? Like,
We'll get into that.
what? No, right now. This is...
No. This is Chris's show.
Yes, dear.
On Chris's show, there is order.
No, there's not. Go ahead.
No, how are you feeling? Just tell me how you're feeling.
How am I feeling? Like, I'm fucking depressed. Like, I might be white, but I'm not straight, and I'm also not male, and like, I have friends that I just got off the phone with somebody who is in Texas with a last name of Yusuf, who is frightened and trying not to be, and trying to be rational, and trying to figure out, okay, so what next? Where is my life going to go? It's kind of important to him. He's an atheist, and he's afraid because his last name does not indicate that.
Oh, I guess I should have mentioned before I even started recording that there's no editing on this one.
Oh, shit.
And in fact, somebody just texted me once in, so I'm calling him now.
Okay.
So, bear with me for a second. I don't know if either of y'all know him. I'll let him. Hey, David, how's it going?
Okay.
We were just basically giving first of all, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
I'm David from Canada. I'm black. I'm gay. I'm a Canadian citizen, but have been carefully watching the U.S. election and hope to give a sort of outside opinion about what I've seen.
I appreciate that, David. I definitely think we could use it. Let me go ahead and tell you who else is on the line. Matthew O'Neill.
Hello.
And Jeanne Ikerd.
Hello.
They both live in Vermont and have both been guests on the show.
Okay. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Matthew is like literally an hour away from like fucking Quebec. Isn't that right, Matt?
Yes.
Montreal. No.
So
Northeast part of the continent, yeah?
So you get to go ahead and drive up there before they build the wall to keep us out.
Did anyone check out the immigration site? The Canadian immigration site? Apparently it crashed.
Yeah, I heard that actually. Yeah.
I think I heard for like 4 hours it was down.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing to me, and it's frightening as fuck. David, I was just getting kind of an opening comment on from both of them about what their kind of initial thoughts about this whole thing is. Why don't you kind of just give me your opening arguments or whatever you want?
Sure. I guess I can just speak to how I felt on election night. I didn't want to watch it, so I distracted myself the entire night. I went to bed really, really early, and just the hope that by the time I woke up in the morning that things would turn out right. It's funny. I had a dream that Hillary won the election, but lost. But the Demons lost the House and the Senate. And for some reason, I had a really sort of fuzzy head at 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm thinking, okay, that's really what happened. I had no idea that's not what happened. So I had my iPad on my bed, and I was like checking at 5:30 in the morning, and I got the news that Trump not only won the White House, but the Dems lost the Senate and the House. I'm like, oh God. So I'm just gonna go back to bed. So that was my initial. And then it sank in for the 2 days after the day of the election morning and the following day. It was kind of just in a haze, just thinking about what's going to happen to the country, to LGBT people of color.
Yeah.
And just feeling powerless, feeling sort of, okay, maybe there's a silver lining in the cloud, but then they have the House and the Senate. So it's like, what's going on? How is there going to be a positive light to be shown on this? So that was my main reaction, just feeling a bit not having that sense of there being a silver lining in the cloud and having a sense of optimism for me.
Let me go ahead and say mine. Like you that night, I was feeling like absolute shit. I actually called out of my second job because I was just like dead tired because I was sick. So basically, I was sleeping all evening, and I kept checking my phone every once in a while. I'm like, okay, well, what the literal fuck is going on here? Because every time I look, people are like, "What the fuck, man?" And she's like, he's winning, and he's gonna. I'm like, this can't be. Am I like having a fever dream or some shit?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's saying, man, I can't fucking believe this. Oh my God, this guy got elected. And then I've since then, that day, man, I've had like a bundle of anxiety in my stomach, I think, since then. I posted a big long thing on my Facebook page about my general feelings about, like, it just feels different, even though we had like Bush and Cheney back in 2000 or whatever. This just feels different to me. This just feels like this has opened the gate to so much hatred and fear and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it scares me. And I said in the post, I almost feel guilty for feeling that way because I'm a white guy, a straight white dude. And, you know, I'll be fine because I live kind of like in a redneck community, sort of. But I can blend in because I'm tall, fat, and got a beard. So I look like a, you know, redneck anyway. So I'm fine until they, and now, even now I'm kind of on edge because I'm like, well, let one of those motherfuckers say some shit around me and then I'm going to be in trouble because I'm just that much on edge right now. So I can't fight for shit. Let me just go ahead and say that right now. So I'd probably be knocked out on my fake teeth and I'd have to get them put back in. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, that's kind of that's kind of where I'm coming from. I'm really, right now, I'm kind of coming out of it a little bit and trying to find solutions, but I'm also still really just bummed out about it.
Yeah.
So how did we get here, y'all? What the fuck happened?
I think it starts with 46% of the population didn't go out and vote. I think that was one of the bigger issues that may have played into it.
Definitely. That blew my fucking mind. Not even half the fucking, a little over half the population, but.
Yeah. But isn't that kind of not normal, but like we don't all vote? Like that's not mandatory.
Yeah, I mean, that's not unusual in and of itself, I guess, because people don't vote. But I think that just kind of brought to the fore more so because of the outcome and how close it was. Well, I don't know. I guess it always has been a thing. For some reason, I think it's because everybody's just trying to find a reason why, you know, and they're looking everywhere. And I have my own reason why, which I will get into in a second. But first of all, Jeannie, what do you think? Do you have a first cause? I mean, there's many causes.
I think that part of it is that Trump really speaks to the people that want to be bigots and haven't had a chance to in a really long time. And I'm just going to echo everything that I've heard recently, which is that this lets us regress, not just 50 years or 70 years or 160 years. Like this is a long time coming back to where we got to. I'm not sure why people didn't think this was important. I really just don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either, to be honest with you. David?
I don't know either. I know there was a hurricane on the East Coast. I don't have any data to sort of guess why people didn't go to vote. And in terms of the Black community, especially in the South and on the East, the Southeast, like North Carolina, South Carolina. Like I know there's voter suppression tactics going on.
Yes.
On state level, just redistricting, weird laws. You know, I'm not sure if that was the reason why that. I'm not sure why. You know, Hillary and Obama really pulled for North Carolina to get that vote out. It still went red. I thought they might have convinced a lot of those voters to vote for Hillary. You know, knowing that there's shifty crap going on with the states and their districting and their voter suppression laws. I don't know if it's such a very complicated sequence of events and factors going on. It's so hard for me to pinpoint one thing. I think maybe all the pet theories could have some kind of truth to them. I can't blame anybody or blame one group over another. It's really complicated.
Well,
it is. Go ahead.
I was going to say redistricting has been going on for a while, and it's flown under the Democrat radar. It's been, as far as I can tell, usually controlled by Republicans to make sure that they continue to hold more and more power. And we've just gotten complacent. The liberals haven't stepped up and made a bigger point of standing up for making sure that things are being fair or being actually democratic.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I'll tell you what, I've thought a lot about this, and before the election I read a book called Listen Liberal by Thomas Frank, and I placed the blame squarely on the Democratic Party. Squarely. And they did the same bullshit when Gore lost. They tried to place blame on everybody but themselves. They try to, and especially the third parties, which just pisses me right the fuck off. It's because they abandoned the working class and the labor unions for Wall Street and the professional class. When, the Democratic Leadership Council kind of took control of the party with Clinton. After their losses, and to Reagan and Poppy Bush, they said, well, I guess we gotta fucking join him to beat him or whatever. If you can't beat him, join him. So that's what they did. And what the fuck happened? Now, people will say, well, look, we had a surplus, and there's a booming economy. Yeah, oh yeah. Who was it booming for? Who got the gains? Who have been getting the gains for the last 40 years?
Mm-hmm.
The top, not even, it's 1%, but also 0.01% has been making out like bandits. Our wages have stagnated. The working class, middle class, poor, everybody's wages have stagnated. Our purchasing power has dwindled to nothing. And they and Bernie, you can say what you want. Bernie may or may not have won. I don't know. But I think he probably would have, because his shit was organic. It felt real to me. It felt, like this is a real movement. The whole Hillary thing felt stage managed, and to a degree it was, because she had Wasserman Schultz fucking, stage manage it behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take on it. Neoliberalism, to me, needs to fucking die. And that's not just here, that's all over the world. These, and it's present in the World Bank, the IMF, all those people. It's based on the same kind of neoliberalist ideology, and it needs to stop.
I'm very suspicious of the Bernie would have won. I would have been a Bernie Sanders supporter too. He would have been the guy I voted for. But because if you're gonna make that argument because of the polls were wrong about the general election in the first place. So I'm highly suspicious of Bernie coming out on top based on polls, because I think the whole polling system has some serious shortcomings, and that's why we're all taken aback by the result of this election. Some of Bernie's economic policies were heavily criticized, and I think he might have run into problems with that in the general election. The overall message of Bernie's campaign, I think, would have spoken to progressives, the hardcore progressives. But when you talk about the people that have come out of the woodwork to vote for Trump, I'm not really so sure they would be Bernie supporters. I'm not sure that they would be on that bandwagon.
You don't think that Bernie would have rallied more popular support in the U.S.?
Okay, yes, in terms of maybe the progressives, for sure. But some of the stuff I'm seeing from the other side, the racism, the xenophobia, the craziness, I'm not sure I'm not even sure that their message resonated. Bernie's message resonated with them. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing that Trump's message seemed to have resonated more. Free college education, free healthcare, or reduced healthcare. That doesn't seem like a message that is resonating with these Rust Belt types that seem to have.
Rust Belt, no, but yeah. I would argue that younger people do, and just to caveat this, I am queer and white and female, so and I'm in my 40s, but most of my friends are. Well, I live in Vermont, so it's kind of like a little bit of a, I don't know, like Matt, back me up on this. Like it's a little bit of a utopia.
A little bit. It's I always say that with the point of saying that, like in almost every zombie apocalypse movie, Vermont's the safe haven. Think about I Am Legend. Where do they go to? They go to Vermont, and they're safe. So.
Yeah, well, that's partly because I know a whole lot of people that own guns that are buried in their backyards. Like as sad as that is, but like it's not a bad place to be. But like, oh shit, I just lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
Drugs.
No, just tired, exhausted. I haven't slept in a week. I haven't slept since Monday.
No, it's the drugs, Jeanne.
Yeah, all of those drugs. They're called Tums.
Shit, I've been having. Yeah, I got a whole bottle of them right here.
That was the noise that I was making earlier.
Oh God, yeah, I can imagine that. Probably should get a fucking right now. I should probably buy stock in Tums or.
So yeah, the Rust Belt is pretty much lost. Like that is where the majority of my family is from. Is like just middle of nowhere, flat, boring, conservative everywhere. My relatives hate me. But we actually have like an actual. There are people that I think would, if Bernie had been there and had been, been active and mobilize people, I think that would have maybe done a better job of getting people out to the polls than Hillary did. Because Hillary was kind of like, she's the other Democrat. She's like, hey, welcome to the next new Clinton. Don't get me wrong, she's got props, but not passion in the same way.
What about Matthew? Didn't you do volunteer for Bernie?
I did, yeah. Actually, on my birthday, I was out knocking on doors in Lake Placid for Bernie, and that was.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like to support the guy, but yeah, it was interesting because it was almost like a split 50-50 in terms of 50% of the time I knocked on the door, not only would someone answer, but they'd already be supporting Bernie. The other 50 was people either didn't answer their door, or I got a bunch of angry people telling me to go stuff it. I had one woman come out and scream at me in front of all her neighbors. It was great. But just all right, you've made up your mind, I see. So whatever. But yeah, it was interesting. And I felt accomplished and proud that I had contributed in some way other than just donating some money. So it was cool.
Nice.
What do you think? Do you think he could have won?
I'm a little biased because having grown up in Vermont, born in Vermont, I really grew up knowing Bernie Sanders' name and had a very fond opinion of him. So I would like to think that he would, but that's assuming that, everywhere across the country, people think like me and have the same values as me and have the same needs as me. And I know that's not the case. So very much like what David was saying earlier, I'm skeptical of any polls coming out saying that Bernie could have won, or any opinion pieces coming out saying Bernie would have won. I think the voter turnout maybe would have been a little bit better, maybe. And maybe we would have gotten some of those swing voters. But again, I don't know that having more people necessarily would have solved anything, because if we see, because of the Electoral College, even though Hillary had the popular vote, she lost out because of because of the Electoral College, basically. So
they still haven't.
All right.
They still haven't voted yet. I'm just saying.
Let's just dive into this fucking thing since Jeannie is chomping at the bit. The Electoral College.
Yep.
I've already seen this petition go out. Y'all need to calm the fuck down. Okay, y'all are not going to get rid of fucking Electoral College by some goddamn petition. You have to have a constitutional amendment to abolish the Electoral College. That's the only way it can happen.
Yep.
And it's just, I want people to think this through, because they're like, well, what if? Because there have been unfaithful electors, is what they're called in our history. Very rarely has it happened, but there have been unfaithful electors. I guess we should fucking explain the Electoral College system in the first place. Anybody more qualified than anybody else? Well, obviously Mr. Canada. Or he might know more about American history than a lot of Southerners.
I think from what I know is that each state is allocated a certain amount of electoral votes. So I guess you guys don't really elect, the public doesn't really directly elect the candidate. It's the electoral vote, the Electoral College who looks at the states, the votes from the state, and then says, okay, I'm going to vote for this candidate, or candidate A or candidate B. It's basically.
Yeah, if you look at the ballots, it actually says you're voting for the electors for whatever candidate. If you really look at it, when you go to the voting booth, it says the electors representing who.
Oh, not here.
So it doesn't say that.
No.
There? Well, it doesn't must.
The Electoral College is usually state by state, winner take all. There are a few states out there, and I can't name them because I'm not that smart, that actually divide them up. So say they have 3 electoral votes and their state comes up 2/3 one way, 1/3 another way. and they divide them up. But usually most states, all their electoral votes go towards whoever takes the state.
Right. That's kind of like
Hands
the
down.
primary system.
Yeah. And that made sense when we first were formed as a country, because, you know, you'd go to your town hall meeting and you'd say, like, okay, so here are the two candidates. Okay, raise your right hand if you want to vote for this person, raise your left hand if you want to vote for this person. And then they'd go back, you know, by horse and buggy or whatever to Washington, D.C. and say, okay, so here's how my state voted. That made sense. That was fine, because then they were representing their people. But these days, we know what the popular vote is. Like, we can count those pretty much right then.
Well, I think, Matt, let me get your take on the electoral.
He's gonna.
My take on the Electoral College.
Yeah, as an institution.
It's an institution. I think very much like what Jeannie was saying. It's, you know, it probably made sense at the time. However, at the time, too, the Electoral College was used, in a sense, to enable slaveholders. Because I'm sorry, I just read an article on this and I'm forgetting some of the information, so I know I'm probably going to butcher it. So maybe it's not safe for me to talk about it. But basically, there was something along the lines of, even though there were people populating these different states, their votes, they shouldn't get a vote. And even though they're people, we don't want their vote to count towards this. So they, you know, made up some of the Electoral College around that idea too.
Oh,
but
interesting.
Slavery, that was an article you're probably referencing. There's been articles coming out saying slavery, the 3/5 compromise.
Yes.
Had a lot to do with why the Electoral College was formed.
Yeah.
Because there were so many slaves in the slave states that they outnumbered a lot of the actual white owners.
Yes.
And so they would get in, you know, disproportionate amount of votes because of that, because we all know that black people are our only property. But anyway, no, obviously.
Well, and then women too. Like, it's just like.
And women, you're right. No, you're right. No, actually, at first it was only white landowning males.
Yes.
No, white Protestant, I believe. Catholics were shunned up. I mean, they're still shunned to some. The hell, they were shunned up until Kennedy, really. I mean, they were afraid that fucking the Pope was going to take over the country when he was elected. So that's a whole other thing. So yeah, slavery played a role for what I've read. Some people, I mean, this is not by any means a universal idea. There are some that dispute it, but I don't think you can separate an issue like that from the entire. I think it's kind of baked in because slavery was a big institution.
Actually, like, Matt, were you finished? Like, was there more that you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just I'm curious if you had more to say.
Do I have more to say? I don't think I do. At least if I did, it's gone now.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't remember if I had more. I don't think I did, but.
Well,
Are y'all on something up there in Vermont?
No.
Did you get weed legalized there?
Not yet.
Actually, is weed legal?
And yes, we're back to a Republican state.
God damn it! What?
I know. Well,
how the fuck is that even possible?
No, it really, really alternates, like, between Republican and Democrat. Anytime we change governors, it pretty much switches. So.
Yeah, but even the Republicans up there have to be pretty liberal.
Yeah, I'd imagine that Vermont, New England Republican is different.
Yeah, we're not Bible Belt.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you trying to say? No, you are saying it's fine. We suck. That's fine.
Yep, you do. Yeah.
But I will say that it's not. I don't remember where I heard this. It was fairly recently. It's an old thing. Rural is basically 10 minutes outside of any city. So basically, the rural mindset is not limited to the Bible Belt. Okay. And that's why Vermont to me is so interesting, because Vermont has, like, the biggest city only has, like, what, Matt, 100,000 or something?
Burlington has only about somewhere between, I actually think it's closer to 200,000. I could be mistaken.
God damn.
But
wait,
yeah, that's
sorry.
still.
Wait, are you talking Chittenden County or, like, Burlington proper?
Yeah, Chittenden County.
Okay.
Burlington.
Yeah, so and that's what kind of is interesting about Vermont to me, is that it's
small,
really rural, but yet I think it's because it's smaller. And there's something about the colder it gets, the more people are likely to like band together and be more socialized, I guess.
Speak on Canada.
It's because, it's Speak on Canada about y'all.
Oh, well.
What did Canada, I assume you're more in touch with the Canadian news, CBC, and you keep track of all that good stuff.
No, I'm just talking about Calder.
Well, they're colder, but it reminds me of that. He's here for his perspective.
Well, I can speak to sort of, this, we talk about the electoral college and this sort of indirect voting for your leader, right? We do that here. We have a parliamentary system. So we do not vote for prime minister here. We vote for our member of parliament. So the party with the most seats in parliament, that party's, you guys probably know this, but that party's the leader gets to be prime minister, right? So it's sort of the same, indirectly it gets sort of the same thing with the electoral college. It's people like sort of delegating on behalf of the electorate and voting for,
to an extent,
yeah.
But to me, the electoral college is more kind of esoteric to a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? They don't really understand what it is. It's kind of this mystical, weird shit. Well, I know what it is and I've heard of it, but who are these electors? Who the fuck this is what kills me. Who the fuck elects the electors? How are they appointed? And who are these people? Have we vetted these people?
Nope.
Are they fucking rapists? Are they fucking, lizard people? Who the fuck knows? I don't know these goddamn electors. I mean, I'm being a little silly about it, but it is kind of, it is a bit strange to me.
I think in most states they're appointed, but I could be wrong. I'm totally willing to go with that.
I think it's the parties that appoint them, right? Like, I think, if I'm not, I read this a few weeks ago. I'm not quite sure, but I think the party in power it gets to appoint a certain amount of electors to the college. It's definitely not it doesn't seem like a transparent thing. It doesn't seem like a fully democratic thing.
Yeah, and that doesn't go, and that's both parties to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, they both use that. And that goes with the fucking, in our states, the gerrymandering that goes with. We get to, whoever is in power gets to draw the fucking districts. That's the most backward shit I've ever heard of. And have you ever seen the way they draw these districts? It's the most inane, crazy, it just doesn't, haphazard.
Well,
it just,
no, it's not haphazard at all.
Well, it's not haphazard. It looks the way it's drawn.
Yeah, but it's on purpose because that makes the electoral college look better for the people that are drawing those.
I also wanted to speak about the information that voters are getting, right? I mean, you're in these states where gerrymandering is occurring, where voter suppression is occurring. Are they not? What kind of information about what's going on, the political sort of game that's going on? What amount of information is filtering to these people? Like, to me, it's not even about Hillary or Trump. It's like, this might be the last election you get to vote without having your vote suppressed. But that still wasn't enough to get people out to vote. And
you really think that the last election, but
well, in terms of, the next, voters going to increase the next 2 years, minimum next 2 years. It's going to be a crap with the amount of GOP that are in the state legislatures going. There's going to be a shitload of voter suppression.
Well, it depends. It depends at the federal courts. Well, God.
I know, right?
I mean, it depends how many people on the federal courts. I encourage any Democrat on any federal court position at all, whether it be in circuit courts, appellate courts, the Supreme Court, don't retire anytime soon. Please wait another 5
RBG, please. Hang on.
Please get to the gym and exercise. She had heart surgery, right?
No, don't exercise. Just just hang on. Like, all you have to do is sit there.
Yeah, my advice was that.
Give her some melange.
Yes.
Do the Doom thing.
I know.
Give her some melange.
Oh, she'd look awesome with blue eyes.
Yeah, she will. Actually, I need to do a meme. You just gave me a great idea for a meme now.
That's what I do.
Anyway, that's what I think, and that's the next topic I kind of want to hit on, the courts.
Oh.
That's kind of one of the things that scares me the most.
Oh, no.
Is the courts.
I know.
Because we got an open seat still.
Well, and it's not just like a lasting problem for 4 years. This is a lasting problem for a lifetime.
That's true. Yeah, and usually they last like 30, 40, 30 years maybe.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
This is my niece and my nephew that are 16 and 8 that have this court deciding their futures. I'm fucking scared.
Yeah, that's...
I'm like, I'm fucking scared. This is horrible.
And they have blocked every fucking thing. What are they going to do now?
I don't know.
They're not going to...
I don't know.
Now, the only bright spot is that the Senate is still not they don't have a filibuster-proof majority. However, didn't Harry Reid... Well, no, I take that back. The exception was Supreme Court nominees. So that was the only exception to the rule for the filibuster thing that he negotiated with. But the thing is, I don't think that carries over to the next... I think that's only... The next Congress could overturn that, I think. I don't know. But... I don't know.
Well, we can game plan this out. So I think we're on a 2-year. I think we're on a 2-year game plan. So Trump will get a free Supreme Court justice.
Yes.
So that's guaranteed. Now, if in 2 years, when there's the midterm elections, the Democrats can make a pitch to win back one of the houses, and then if another Supreme Court justice dies, if the Dems win and have some power in the Senate obviously, then we could try to block that. So it's not so much a 4-year outlook as a 2-year outlook. When you can block that and then re-gear for that 2020, the 2020 election. So it really depends on the health of the justices. Talking about RBG and Breyer, how they can hold up. And that's all. We can't bet money on that because that's just so random, right? We have no idea.
This fucking guy is from Canada and he knows more of the fucking justices.
I know, right? David's like, you fucking rock.
I forgot about Breyer. Stephen Breyer. Yeah, I forgot he was
Stephen
on there.
Breyer's but anyway, yeah.
Matt, I was just going to ask Matt what his opinion about the
He's
game
been
plan for the
quiet.
next 2 years. Because I told him not to masturbate.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Well, on the point of being, aside from our host, the CIS straight white male, I figured it was probably good for me to not speak as much. There are 2 other voices of who this election impacts more that are more important to hear than my own. So that's that end of it. In terms of my position on the Supreme Court justices, I mean, I feel really mixed about it, not in terms of, maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel with a Trump decision. I'm incredibly fearful of that. But there's the part of me like, is there some last minute action that Obama can take to make sure that his justice gets in? Is there, some type of movement that's going to come later on? Are the Democrats going to, filibuster and try and push back or create opposition to any sort of suggestion that Trump makes? Are they going to crack back as hard as the Republicans did against Obama? But, I have no reason to, I have no backing to suggest that that's actually going to happen. It's just sort of wishful thinking. But, same with what Trump represents coming in. If we have another Antonin Scalia coming onto the seat that's open, then, we're looking at some pretty serious. Yeah, exactly. So that's
well. I even if there's like when you game this out, I don't think one edition of an Antonin Scalia will be that big of a deal because even with Antonin Scalia, we still got gay marriage and we still got affordable health care. King Burwell, we still got that. It's the long-term game plan. It's how healthy. If Trump can get through this 4 years with only nominating one justice, I think we'll be okay. 2, that's when it starts to get.
I think you just made yourself an honorary, USA citizen. You keep talking in terms of us. You care about us way more than most of us do.
Well, he's used to talking to Americans, so he knows what to say. When he gets out the phone with him, he's like, fucking Americans.
Good.
Fucking Yankees. Jesus, can we build the wall against them
I'm
already?
Alaskan. I opt out.
The thing I'm worried about and the kind of struggling with, should we stick to principle or should we do the exact same thing that they did to us? I say us, I'm not.
Like take the higher ground versus play their
dirty rules.
Obstruction is shit. I don't like it. I mean, I mean, I can't imagine everything Trump puts forward, because somebody did point out he was a Democrat before he was a Republican. Okay, fair enough. I don't think the party affiliation really matters, because he's a narcissist in the end. It's just whatever he thinks will make him feel better at the time. I don't think
he is inconsistent consistently.
So there's no telling what the fuck he's going to propose. I have no fucking idea. To be honest
if probably one of the few times I'll interrupt to say anything about it, but I actually was, what was it? I had seen earlier today that actually there was sort of a switch at some point with the parties in terms of who is more liberal and who is more conservative. And it wasn't until like the late 80s, early 90s that there was that sort of shift from the Democrats being more conservative and the Republicans being more liberal to sort of the opposite way. So that might speak a little bit to maybe how Trump's political leanings shifted, but I'm not going to put words in his mouth and assume that I know why.
I wouldn't try to put anything in his mouth.
I wouldn't put anything of his in my mouth either. Just, to put that forward.
I think most people would agree with that. And David certainly would agree with that.
He almost smiled right there.
Where that joke would actually apply, maybe.
It's just like, you ever seen your face?
Well, no, it applies to you.
You ever seen your face after you've eaten Cheetos? That's probably why you don't want to put
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, that makes me happy.
Well played, sir. Well played. That might be the episode title or something. Okay, so should we obstruct?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think we should. If he puts forward a policy that I agree with, I don't. Of course, the argument is, well, it makes them look good. I don't think so, because in the end, anytime these, especially hardcore Republican Tea Party types, if they see you negotiating at all with the other side, they lose their fucking minds. Mm-hmm. They can't take it. So, especially in this climate, I think if he proposes a policy that actually makes sense and and works out, then I think we should get behind it, because it makes us look
better,
like we actually want to govern.
Yes,
and it'll piss off the Tea Partiers.
Well, they're kind of gone almost already. I mean, like, not quite. Like, some of the theory behind them is but okay, so I don't live in Tennessee.
Well, they've been kind of absorbed, I think.
Oh, I think I actually used that word with you earlier.
Yeah, by the Republican Party. I think they pretty much co-opted them because they keep going further right.
So what happens to the Liberal Party? Like, where do we go from here? Because, like, what we're doing isn't working. So what happens next? Like, do we? Well,
that's going to be the big
next 2 years.
And what we're going to find out. What's the demos? I mean, and let's go ahead and talk about that. I've already heard tell that Keith Ellison is in the running for a DNC chair. Who, if you don't know him, he is representative from Minnesota. He is a first Islamic Muslim American in office, I believe.
Nice.
And is he chairman of the Progressive Caucus? He's a member of it. I can't remember if he's the chairman. But I think he'd be a great choice to lead the DNC. That's the direction we need to go in. Is anybody else familiar with him? Keith Ellison?
Nope.
No, I've not heard of him.
Oh, you see.
Tell me a pretty story.
No, but I'm just telling you what I've already heard. He's a member of the Progressive Caucus. He's always on MSNBC. I've seen him a couple of times. He's well spoken. That sounds horrible. But you know what I mean. He's so well articulate. He's so articulate for a black guy. That's great. Yeah.
Well, no, just articulate in general. Like, we should applaud that.
That's what I meant.
Applaud articulate.
I just meant he doesn't like fucking him and haw like most politicians say. But then I hear fucking Howard Dean he needs to go away. I don't care if he's from Vermont. He's sold his soul.
You guys have been complimenting me on my knowledge of U.S. politics. I still don't get the significance of DNC chair. I know it's important, but what does the average voter need that position?
And I'll let y'all say what you all think. But to me, it's more of a symbolic thing. I think it's more kind of a symbolic nod to what direction the party's going to go in. So if we elected somebody like Keith Ellison, who's a progressive, to me that would indicate more of a shift towards like the progressive side of things. such as that Bernie Sanders represented or Elizabeth Warren might represent. That's just my take on it. Now, and of course, in a two-party system, the DNC chair is like practically, you know, I mean, he's not an elected official, obviously, but it's a pretty important position. Yeah. So I personally think it's important because, well, I'll tell you why. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was instrumental in basically sabotaging fucking Sanders' campaign, and you can tell me what you want. You can say whatever, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. No. I mean, those emails, and say what you will about WikiLeaks, I have my problems with them myself. They've become kind of fucking, you know, a rogue force as far as I'm concerned. But those emails were legit.
Okay, I'll tell you what the DNC needs to...
please do, Mr. Canada.
It's called encryption, honey. Fucking. I have a friend, a close friend from Democrats abroad in Canada. He's dual citizen. His information was leaked out in this WikiLeaks. It's addressed. Like,
yeah.
Why isn't your shit encrypted? Hello, get with the times.
Okay, first of all, it's funny that you said encryption, honey, was fucking hilarious. I just want to say that. Second of all, maybe that'll be the name of encryption.
Oh my god,
honey.
you're gonna have to pee so soon. You're just drinking so much liquid. Sorry.
Nah, he has one of those. He has a bottle he can use or something, maybe. But yeah, I mean, but you're right. I mean, I think cybersecurity is a fucking major problem.
No, you screwing around and being manipulative with your internal. I mean, like we want transparency, but there's no excuse for foreign entities going in to your email and screwing around with the election like that.
See, yeah, you're right. No, I don't disagree with you. And it was Russian hackers that hacked the DNC, and they gave it to WikiLeaks. But to say that, I don't think the accusation that WikiLeaks is an arm of the Russian government is. I think it's just because he appealed to Assange's fucking ego is what it was. He's only an arm in so much as Assange seems like a Trump kind of guy. He's really fucking narcissistic, and you fucking appeal to him. You make him feel good. You kiss his ass a couple of times. He loves it. He'll do anything you fucking want. So that's just my take on it.
Oh, that image is horrible. Thank you so much for that. I'm gonna have nightmares.
I'm just saying. I mean, those emails were legit, and not a lot of people actually they kind of got brushed to the side. A lot of that stuff. Another part of this is the way that they kind of Hillary was never challenged. She was always the presumed candidate from like the beginning. Everybody was their eyes were on the coronation. They had blinders on. They never saw anything else. That fucking bothered me, to be honest with you. Even when they saw Sanders and she's like, oh, fuck, not again. I'm sure that's what she was thinking. Another fucking progressive. Instead of maybe, wow, maybe people actually want a progressive candidate, and she did kind of switch some of her policies, at least in name, and they got some shit in the platform, which means jack shit, really. But, I mean, I don't think they really gave serious thought to ever actually nominating anybody.
Well, which sucks. Like Bernie, I think he was good. At least he would have changed the voice of politics in a different way.
I think so. And people are like, oh, he's too radical. Oh, really? Look who we just fucking elected.
That's too radical.
I'm not even sure if it's about that. Like, let's just look at the DNC and what would you do? So you have Bernie Sanders, independent senator from Vermont versus Hillary Clinton with a D, Democrat. I think it's just about the party loyalty. Like, why would they side? I understand that maybe voters in the popular vote would have leaned towards Bernie, but internally it's like Hillary is one of us. Bernie is an outsider. He's joining the Democratic race for president, but he's not. He's an independent senator. He can go any way. She's inside. She's a Democrat. Why wouldn't they root for the Democrat?
Okay, I'm going to argue that one with you, if you don't mind. Sure. I grew up in Alaska, so I grew up in like a really kind of very, in the same way that Vermont is very red and blue in very specific ways. Alaska was the same way. So I generally vote Democrat. I don't always. The last time I fucking did, but like there are issues that are kind of in between where I can say like, yes, I see your point of view and this makes sense. And I think that Bernie might have been one of those in between people that kind of made sense to more people than just Democrats. That he still had some things about his policies that were very, very liberal specific, but he also had some things that were really kind of right along like the middle party lines. Like he could have been somebody who was very socially progressive and also socially conservative in a lot of different ways.
Matt, since you just sitting over there
Quiet.
being and doing his thing again after I told him not to.
Anyway,
argue with me. Come on.
argue with you.
Or debate me down. I'm really afraid. Like I'm not afraid of being wrong. Come on, bring it.
Well, I don't know that I'm gonna tell you that you're wrong, because I honestly don't know how it would work. I mean, it's it's not a reality of the situation, so I guess we can't know what really would have happened. But part of me, I'm inclined to agree with David that I think it was actually one of Hillary's talking points against Bernie when she was campaigning against him, which was, he's not even a real Democrat. He only became a Democrat in order to run for president. And so there's that part that I see, and there's I'm sure more behind it that I'm either ignoring or overlooking or just am not aware of. The other end of it is, I agree with you that Bernie totally reached the cross-party lines. I mean, when I first signed up to do stuff for Bernie, because aside from going out and knocking on doors, I also did these little local meetups where I would talk to people about, what it is that they felt was really affecting them. And I would convey these messages not directly to Bernie, but to people in his campaign, saying, hey, the people who live in the area that I'm in, like, this is the concern that they have. And one of the people that actually offered to let us use a local VFW hall, when I was calling around looking for a venue to do this appearance, he called me up and was like, unfortunately, we can't have you. And it's not because we don't support Bernie, but it's because, the date that you need it on just isn't open on that date. But I wanted to let you know I'm Republican, as are several other people who are associated with our location, and we're all going to vote for Bernie. So I heard, not unanimously, but I heard a lot of talk of people on both sides being willing to go out and vote for Bernie. And I think there would have been some of that if Bernie had been able to run. But ultimately, I couldn't tell you for absolute certain.
Well, nobody can.
Yeah. So just my opinion.
It's so weird. Don't get me wrong, people. I'm going to preface this by saying I'm 100% Bernie supporter. If I were an American and voter, I would have been voting for Bernie in the primaries.
Marry me.
I don't see how Bernie was reaching beyond party lines. I just, when you're looking at the results of this election and the coal miners that feel that they can get their jobs back because Trump is elected, and these blue collar workers who want these old factory jobs back, Bernie is going to say, let's get you back to school and you're going to get your green job. And like I don't see how that's appealing to these.
That's not the why.
I'm sorry?
That's not the why.
Okay.
The why is because Bernie was appealing to people who are under 30.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree.
And Bernie is like does social support and does like all the things that all the millennials really, really want to have happen. And
he could have brought out more millennials.
Yes.
You're saying he would have tipped the scales on that vote, like he would have
absolutely
that other side.
Even though he's like old and kind of looks like a Muppet.
Well, think about it. He probably still would have got all of Hillary's key constituencies that she won, right? Plus, more people that showed up for the millennials. Like
first-time voters and second-time voters. And, like, yes, people who were like, yes, I want my future to look like this. This is what I want my future to look like. make this guy happen.
So I don't know if he'd have won, but I think it would have been
closer than the popular election.
Well, yeah, you're right. I don't. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass. I don't know. I'm just frustrated. So, what the fuck did we do, y'all? I mean, what's the next step?
Stand up.
That's a great Jethro Tull album, but what do you mean?
You're such a hick. Jethro
Tull's a British band.
That's your go-to is Jethro Tull.
I used Stand Up, which is a rare album. I didn't use Aqualung. Anyway, what do we do now?
You've got insight. Go for it, Canada. David.
Yes.
No, I know his name, but Canada's funnier.
Let's stick up for each other.
Representing the whole nation. Sorry.
I think we have to stand up for each other. We have to stick together. We have to. I think this is a sort of a rallying cry for. This is a great reason for all the different factions of whatever movement, whatever progressive movement you're in that's fractured right now to potentially. So think of a 2-year plan. I think it's a 2-year plan. Win back that Senate or House. Probably the Senate would be the most strategic because of Supreme Court. And so we need somebody who's going to inspire people to vote. So this midterm election is going to be crucial, and we know that people don't come out to vote in these midterm elections, right? So it's going to be. We need somebody who's going to inspire people to come out and vote in 2018.
Yeah, like the biggest deal is like every person's problems are my problems. Period. Like the fact that I am female is your problem. The fact that I am queer is also your problem. The fact that you are not white is also my problem. Like this is our problem. This is where we stand up and say like, no, this is us. We the people. Done.
Well, you're right, and I think it's more important us cis white guys.
Wait, who are you talking to?
Privilege. I'm talking to me and fucking Matt over there who's sitting on the side.
I'm still on the call. I promise.
I'm saying shit. We need to use our privilege and fucking go out there and actually do shit. Now I just got there's a safety pin thing going around or whatever, and why initially I was like, that sounds like a good idea. I'm reading some shit. I'm like, I don't know if it's such a great idea because unless it's conjunction with you actually doing some shit, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what's now. I'm not going to sit here because not everybody's able to go out and do things in person because they're mental, they're on the autistic spectrum. Maybe like I don't think I can do it. I can give to causes. I can give financially to causes.
Like every little bit of that helps.
Share stuff.
Like if you're helping somebody who helps in an active way, you're still helping. Like
yeah. So that's what I don't want anybody to think that just because you're not out there on the front lines that you're not. And of course, I realize I'm a cis white guy saying this, but I think other people would agree with this. From the minority POC, people of color, and women and LGBT would say the same thing. Is whatever you're able to do to help is important.
Well, and do it. Sorry, David.
Well, I was just my first impressions in the aftermath of the election was like I'm in a liberal bubble, but I was really impressed with the reactions of people who are maybe perhaps not going to be as affected by a Trump presidency as POCs and LGBT and women. Like people are really lots of cis white men are feeling the pain.
Yes.
I think people of color and LGBT and women appreciate that. Like why does this affect you? But you are affected, and that means.
But like we have to turn that into action.
In terms of initial reaction, like fear going on, and people being persecuted in universities and schools and out in the street. It's just it's assuring to know that people are empathizing.
Yeah.
There's one last thing I wanted to mention before we kind of wrap this. I had heard that there was some riots in Portland and in other places, and there was some people who were like, "Oh, why? How can you protest something that hasn't even happened?"
Well, the Electoral College hasn't still voted.
Oh, stop it. Anyway.
He was laughing. Nope.
You're not going to get off that. You're not going to get off that.
And one day we will rescind that and amend the Constitution, and it will get rescinded. And we will actually have a president that is elected by people. Pretty much. No.
Are you done?
Okay.
All right, you done now. Anyway, so like I was saying, before the woman interrupted, it's a Trump presidency now. Don't you know your place? But anyway,
this is why I love you.
A little humor.
It's inappropriate, sir.
Yeah, I know. I'm inappropriate. And now he speaks. Now he fucking speaks. But he was sticking up for a woman, so that's good. That's cool time to speak. So he did the right thing. Anyway, Portland. A lot of people are first of all, in general, protest. Who gives a fuck what anybody says? Some people, even liberals, are bitching. Well, why are you protesting? He ain't done anything yet. Okay, not enough people protest. Have you ever seen France? Those motherfuckers protest all the time. That's all they do. They fucking shut down everything because they're pissed they didn't get 5 cents. That's democracy. That's true democracy. To me, that's democracy, okay? It's supposed to be messy. It's supposed to be ugly. And ain't supposed to be, well ordered. It's supposed to be fucked up. If you want well ordered, take your motherfucking ass to North Korea. Take your motherfucking ass to China. Okay? Those are totalitarian states. I would actually be just as
pissed if the Democrats had swept everything, because that's not how democracy works. I mean,
not me, but the only reason I say that is because not all Democrats.
No,
it's not a monolith. There are plenty of especially Southern Democrats. Trust me, there's a lot of shit they. What did you mean by
that's not how? I'm just curious. What did you mean by that's not how democracy works?
Good question. Well, no, I think that the nation as it is way too big for how it functions. Like, we need to have more separate groups of people. We need alternate voices to keep us all in check. All of us, all the time. And to have a Republican Congress and a Republican president and right now a Vermont Republican governor. Like none of this, this is not how we keep ourselves in check. What I have right now is a Republican governor and a Democratic downhouse ticket, pretty much not quite across the board, but close. And that's how we keep ourselves in check, is we have alternate voices giving different visions and negotiating. Yeah.
Okay, I see
we have to negotiate towards something that works.
You're saying, but we need a healthy two-party system is what we need. Well, we need, of course, in this country, we know that apparently it's impossible to have more than 2 fucking parties, which, I would rather have a parliamentary system. That's just me, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. So we're stuck with it for now.
I'm not sure that's better, but it's different.
Well, everybody's got their own opinion. Mine's better. So
there are downsides to our system here too, but I get what you're saying. We do have them up priorities parties, but
so I was going to ask, did I answer your question, David?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think what she meant was more like, well, I don't want to mansplain. Let me mansplain to you.
Yeah, please do.
Let me white mansplain. Okay, like double splain. A white man. White cis hetero splain. Goddamn.
Yes, keep going.
I don't even know what the fuck I was going to say now. What she was trying to say, if she wasn't a woman and could get the shit straight, was that we need
appropriate, sir.
There he goes again. He's like an alarm. He needs to be like a fucking, whenever you say some sexist shit, that's inappropriate. Oh shit. The Matt O'Neill alarm has gone off. Anyway, we need to just have a healthy 2-party system, or whatever, how many parties, instead of just one dominating the other. That's basically, I guess, what you're saying.
Yes. Okay. Well, yeah. No matter who's dominating, having healthy dialogue is important.
Yeah, and we haven't had that in I don't know how long, and that's
a long fucking time.
A big part of the problem. Matt, any last words?
I'm inclined to think that a parliamentary system would be awesome, but apparently that was one of the reasons that, we established the colonies in the United States in the first place, was to escape Parliament. But anyway, so any final thoughts? I think I'm really conflicted with how I feel about the whole situation. I'm horrified because of not just who was elected, but what this person represents. I mean, especially with the backing of his vice presidential pick.
Oh my God.
All just the ideas that were validated simply by them not only being on the ticket but then winning. The incredible increase in violent hate crimes across the country, people just being harassed and accosted in general. I mean, I'm mortified to think. I mean, as someone who has children, you know, I'm afraid for what that means for my daughters. I'm afraid for what that means for my sons if they, you know, aren't the typical chauvinistic male, you know, and
they better not be, Matt.
Well, I'm hoping
teach them right.
But that's the problem.
Especially if you use inappropriate thing every time they say some fucked up shit. Inappropriate, son. Anyway,
then maybe it'll be an alarm in their heads that goes off
exactly.
And they start saying horrendous shit. So that's good. But so yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, what does that mean for our future? What does that mean to the generation of kids that are out in school right now? I mean, we already see in schools kids are shouting out, "Build that wall in the cafeteria," and aiming those remarks at people of color in their class. You know, people are having racial slurs written on their cars and on bathroom stalls and stuff. And so already, you know, within just the first few days of not even getting into power, but just being elected, we're already seeing stuff like this. And it's horrifying to think about. At the same time, it's also realizing that, you know, not everything Trump can do either is, one, going to happen, or B, isn't going to be without consequences to himself. I mean, one of my friends is a law professor in New York, and he had made a statement because he's also a gay individual and is married to his husband. But he said, you know, and everyone's worried about him overturning gay marriage. Well, that would require an amendment, which is almost certainly not going to happen. So don't worry about it. It's not going to happen. At least, you know, if he does anything about it, it's going to take several years for anything just to happen, forget actually following through on it. And so it's the idea that there's stuff that what he promised isn't going to be accomplished. It's going to be very difficult for him at best. The other side of it, too, is that he's, you know, Trump's already like sort of turning on those promises that he made. I mean, the whole deportation of illegal immigrants has been taken off his website and is out of his mouth. He hadn't made any threats to imprison Hillary the night that he made his acceptance speech the night of the election. So he's, you know, we're seeing both this side of it's not going to happen and then, oh, he's changing his mind about what he's actually going to do. So I have a little bit of hope that whatever consequences come aren't going to be as detrimental as we're sort of worried about. And I'm nervous about just, again, what, even if he's not able to or changes his mind on it, what he ran on and was advocated for by the people who voted for him. You know, I'm worried still about that because I think that's going to be worse over the next couple of years. But that's probably the worst thing that I'm really worried about with this situation. And I'm done rambling.
That was very good. And I just want to say, keep vigilant.
Yes. Nicely done. Well, you know that I care about sex education and about women's right to own their own bodies. So this is just to quote somebody. So this is like something that I'm really kind of worried about. Like, not just like on a really personal level is like my right to own my own body. Like I care about a whole ton of other things, including like all of the Matt ramble, which was awesome. Because like I'm fucking scared for all of us. Like I'm frightened. But I also know that this is going to take back a lot of, or it could potentially take back a lot of what we have accomplished in the last couple of years, you know, decades, whatever. Like this is like not just like gay rights. Like I have been on board with like, oh my God, I'm verbal stuttering here. I've been on board with people get to choose how their relationships look like, period, without any kind of legal approbation. That we get to choose who we get to be with, period. And I think that's going to change, because, or at least like get rolled back in some way that's really horrible. And that makes me scared, because I want to just like the people that I like to be with.
Yeah.
And having somebody like tell me how to rule my body. If you want to stay the fuck out of my politics, stay the fuck out of my politics. Stay out of my bedroom, because
Yeah.
either you're in or you're not, and like you don't get the halfway measure.
You're in or you're out, or you're in or you're out. Anyway. Okay.
You're such a pig. I love you.
Okay. But no, thank you. I mean, you're right. There's a lot of fear, and I think we need to try to do our best to kind of conquer that fear by putting it into action, using that fear, that energy that produces to kind of put it in action and help people that we love.
Well, and that's most of what I've been hearing on Facebook is people are saying, yes, like stand up, say something, do this. Don't sit down anymore. Don't let this be passive. Don't let this just go by. If somebody's being a pig, call them a pig in public. Face the consequences. And, like I'll go to jail if I have to. Because
I thought about that. But unless I'm not going to, unless I on purpose necessarily, because I'm not the bravest person in the universe.
But yeah, some people can be and do that. Like if you can't, don't. But if you can, absolutely stand up. Like, take the bait, make the argument, stand up for your friend, stand up for your neighbor, stand up for yourself, and go to jail if you have to, go to jail. Do it.
David?
I totally agree you on sort of the fear aspect of things. It's very scary. I was a bit moved by that sentiment about fear being, not knowing what to do, not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But I agree with you, Chris. Just not letting fear rule us, and not letting fear sort of dictate what we're going to do. Because I think the other side operates on that type of mentality, top fear, right? Fear that Obama. I'm going to copy what Cass usually said, but fear that Obama's not a Muslim, fear that X group is taking our jobs, fear that there's it's the other side is very fear based, and they don't really operate in reality. They operate on this sense of fear, and we have to avoid that. I think it's very important to not do what the other side is doing.
Yes.
We have to. It's important for us also to know our allies, come together, support each other. Sometimes that might require maybe a bit of a toughening of skin, communicating with each other, and really being in it together. I think sort of that's where I would take the next steps in terms of. Hopefully that made sense. But
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, so David, how do we do that? Like, you're a person of color who is queer in Canada, so that is not part of the United States. How do we do that?
Probably it's going to take some forgiving.
We need a lot of forgiveness.
I think we have to come together. Easier said than done. I'm not that smart. I'm not smart. Not that smart. I'm not a smart guy. So I don't know how you do that, but I know we need to recognize who our allies are, and if our allies make mistakes and screw up, we have to sort of say, okay, your intentions were good. I do, and let's just move forward because we all have a common good. We all have a common goal. We want. Yes.
We are the people. We are the people.
Yeah. Well, he's Canadian, so he's nice anyway. So.
Well, okay, but I've married him, so it's okay.
Oh, okay.
He's now American by proxy.
Well, maybe will you marry me if I get me into Canada, David?
Well, like 2 hours drive north. Yeah, I have a fold-out couch. It's gonna get crowded, but it's here.
I have a couple of people that have that I have a lineup of people that want to move here, live in my house.
I knew it. I should have known. Okay, well. I got to get in line. Okay.
No, we the people. We look out for each other. That's how we do it. Like one step at a time, everybody looks out for everybody else, period.
We need allies. We need to not burn bridges, and we need to support each other.
And don't give in to the fucking fear, y'all. Do some shit. Stand up and do something. You know, there's plenty of organizations, which I'm going to put a link up to in the show notes, in which I shared earlier on this week, about organizations you can contribute to or volunteer with that help minorities and such LGBT, transgender, people
Women.
of color, women. I was getting there.
I know.
So I encourage you to look at it and do what you can.
Actually, at this point, you are becoming a minority, and you probably need your own website.
Whatever. Anyway, I'll be fine. I know Matt's got a lot of shit to plug. Let's start with Silent Matt over there.
To plug? So, you talking about like work that I've done or how people reach out to me?
All the stuff. All the things.
So you can follow me on Twitter at MWONEII. You can like my Facebook page, facebook.com/YouSayThatIam. It's where I post a lot of my, all the stuff I do around the books that I've written and the articles I write. And you can look for my books on Amazon. I have You Say That I Am, Jesus and the Messianic Problem, What the Bible Really Does and Doesn't Say About Sex, and The Recent Afterlife, Solving Science and Religion's Great Disagreement. And that's me.
Did you do the Eden one? Did you say the Eden one? The Garden of Eden?
Oh, no, sorry. Adam and Eve, questioning the historicity of biblical human origins.
I know your shit more than you do. Okay, that's fine. That's why I'm admin your page. So okay. Anyway, yeah, go check out Matt's shit. I need to read his. Actually, I need to read the last two. I didn't read Afterlife or the other one. I'm behind in my read. And I need to review them. Oh yeah, and review his fucking books. Please review his fucking books on Amazon. Please. Jesus God, if I have to hear it one more fucking time. Anyway, Jeannie.
Yes.
Do you have anything you would like to publicize other than you?
No.
Okay. Jeannie was on the first episode, so that's her claim to fame.
I'm pretty much just Jeannie Ikerd on Facebook.
Yeah, give her a look up. She usually friends people if they're cool. She's kind of weird and hippie, but you know. She's And David, how about yourself?
Sure. I'm on the Wayward Atheists Podcast, waywardatheists.com. It's the three of us. We sort of have discussions about atheism, politics, religion, and all that fun stuff.
Okay. Do you have a Twitter?
Yeah, but not really.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I got you. I understand. So that's your main thing you want people to know. All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all for coming on and having this kind of roundtable discussion with me about what I think is a very important issue. And I'm glad we could kind of come to a sort of a positive, somewhat light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing at the end towards the end there. So
2-year plan, baby. 2-year plan.
Yep. So, David, Jeannie, and Matthew, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Y'all take it easy. That'll do it for this episode of the Podunk Polymath Podcast. I want to thank Matthew O'Neill, David Eastmond, and Jeanne Ikerd for coming on and talking to me about this. Of course, they gave all their plugs at the end of the palaver, and you can find them in the show notes. Of course, you can find the show under Podunk Polymath, Google+, Facebook, Twitter. The music is done by ... Go find their CD at cdbaby.com/cd/... And of course, you can check out their Facebook page, and the link is in the About page. Of course, you can call the call-in line 378-7676, which spells freedom, 615 area code. You can also contribute, become a member of the posse on Patreon, patreon.com/Podunk Polymath. There's a donate button on the side of the podunkpolymath.com page. There's also a buttons for the RSS feed, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, You can follow the blog on WordPress, and you can see the latest tweets, latest comments. So I hope y'all enjoyed the episode. And once we recover from the shock a little bit, we need to like we've pretty much said, stand up, do some shit. Don't sit on the sidelines and let this shit just roll up. Fight, contribute to the organizations that you could want to contribute to, but do something. Even if you don't get out and march, no one and everybody has the skills for that. Just give in any way you can. Support your local organizations. Support your local friends who are struggling. That's all I can tell. That's all I can say to do. That's all we can do. Just fight. Until next time, y'all take it easy, okay?